Stormtrack Severe Weather Special, presented by Boone Electric Cooperative, starts now.
Oh my gosh, look at it. There it is. Holy cow, look at all the hail.
Thanks for joining us tonight for the ABC 17 Stormtrack Severe Weather Special. I'm ABC 17 Stormtrack meteorologist Chance Scotch, and we have several things to get through tonight, like why most mid-Missouri cities don't have public storm shelters when the risk of tornadoes is increasing, why more people are opting out of flood insurance, and how Ameren is working to decrease the spread of weather-related power outages. And of course, ABC 17 Stormtrack Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner will have her extended forecast so you can be prepared for the months ahead. We'll also have a live question and answer for all your weather-related questions. You can still send those in to weather@kmiz.com. Now first, I'll explain when the ABC 17 Stormtrack Weather Team will issue a weather alert day. Now the ABC 17 Stormtrack Weather Team issues weather alert days to keep you aware of potential severe weather before those storms arrive in your neighborhood. The team collaborates with our newsroom to keep you informed on air, online, and on our ABC 17 Stormtrack Weather app. We have created a set of criteria that triggers a weather alert day. The threat of a tornado, widespread damaging winds, large hail, dangerous flash flooding, and the heat indices up to 105 degrees. If a weather alert day is issued, we'll get a notification on the ABC 17 Stormtrack Weather app that will send you to the Insider blog that will have all the impacts and timing to expect. You'll also read tabs on our 7-day forecast indicating what days are under an alert. You can also find that our social media pages as well as all of our newscasts leading up to the storm.
Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, those poor people.
When we issue a weather alert day for severe storms, tornadoes are always in the back of everybody's mind, especially after seeing deadly storms touch down across the country just last night. I took a closer look into an increase in tornadic event days that we see here in mid-Missouri and where you could go for local shelters. As we head off into the spring season, we see an uptick of tornadoes here in the Midwest. Now, data from 1979 all the way to 2022 shows that on average, we see 2 to 3 days more eventful for producing tornadoes per decade. That means more potential lives are going to be at risk across much of mid-Missouri. Now, the United States typically sees about 1,000 tornadoes, and of that, 77% of them are rated EF0 to EF1, known as non-destructive tornadoes. Everything above that, from EF2 all the way up to EF5, those are going to be the potentially life-threatening tornadoes. And look at that, rare EF5s, that's usually about 100% that we see every year. After learning about the increase in tornadic event days across the state over the past several decades, I looked into how prepared mid-Missouri is in the event of future tornadoes. One of the most shocking results was the lack of public tornado shelters across the region. I contacted many different city personnel across the area to find out more. Most cities did not have any shelters, but the city of Holt Summit did. I sat down and talked to Brandon Rudiger, who is the city administrator, to find out more. So you guys are kind of ahead of the game here in Holt Summit because you guys have a public shelter which is open to the general public. We don't see that much across the state of Missouri. So kind of tell me a little bit about where this came about and how you guys got this built.
Sure. So the city and going through some research, it looks like back in 2007, 2008 era, the city at that time started pursuing some grant funding through SEMA, the State Emergency Management Agency, and FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, to help build this structure, which is now a full-blown tornado shelter that's available to our residents in the event of severe weather.
So what has it been like with the community members, the Holt Summit? Do they come in pretty often, or is it something that you don't really see too many residents use just yet?
My experience has been people do show up, and they do, and sometimes they beat us here. Overall, people are very happy to have this in our community because, you know, as you pointed out earlier, you just don't find tornado shelters or community safe rooms that are built to FEMA standards when it comes to tornadoes in central Missouri. I don't know of any other one that's in central Missouri other than this one here in Holt Summit.
Just like Brandon Rudiger mentions, they're little to none advertised by the use of general public. With Boone County hosting 261 homeless people, according to the Boone County Health Department on February 21st, and a large percentage of the population in Columbia, the question of where to go for those who have nowhere and for residents that have improper places to go during these events becomes a large concern. I called the City of Columbia and the Boone County Emergency Management offices to find out more. According to both FEMA and SEMA, cities and counties are responsible for applying for the grants to help build these structures. The Boone County Emergency Management Office told me the City of Columbia and EM offices have not applied for the 2 grants that could provide 75% of the funding needed to build these much-needed tornado shelters. Although there is a lack of tornado shelters across much of mid-Missouri, like that in the City of Columbia, there are still a few places you could go if you live within 5 minutes of those shelters. Craig Cece, who is a PhD student at Mississippi State, has created a website to help you find shelters in your area. So what you've seen from other states and Missouri, how does it compare with kind of the input you're getting from the amount of storm shelters?
Missouri does not rank at the top for a number of storm shelters, but it's up there compared to states, especially to your north and to your east.
So you have such a great resource for the general public to use. How are they going to be able to find this and use this resource?
Go to the website at findyourtornadoshelter.com, and that'll take you right to the shelter map directly, and then zoom into your specific area, in your case, mid-Missouri, zoom to wherever they are, and then search from their location and get the directions to the shelter that I've posted. In most cases, it has a street address.
Now remember that the safest place to go to during a tornado would be the lowest and most interior point in your home. But if you do not have a safe place, then it's important to remember that according to FEMA guidance, you should only seek out one of those shelters if you are located within 5 minutes from it. Now, flooding is one of the most common threats in severe weather events. Coming up, we're going to be breaking down why more people are expected to get rid of their flood insurance as the threat only increases. And coming up later in the special, ABC 17's Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner will tell you what kind of weather you can expect this season in her long-range spring forecast.
Important thing. You.
At AAA, saving money means as much to us as it does to our members. Nikki saved her family over $450 by switching to AAA auto insurance. Marianne switched and saved $350. And Philip saved over $400. Now is a great time to review your auto insurance policy. AAA is here to help you with your auto, home, and life insurance needs. Call 844-AAA Insurance or visit AAA.com for an auto insurance quote today. AAA, we're always with you.
Welcome back. Flooding is one of the most common threats when it comes to severe weather. But getting covered for flood insurance isn't always an easy task. ABC 17 Stormtrack meteorologist Nate Splater has more on why people are expected to get rid of their flood insurance when the flood risk is increasing.
As we're heading into severe weather season and severe weather is on the rise, flooding is the most commonly associated threat with any severe weather. The number of all disasters are increasing and affecting more of the population as a result. Average number of disasters in a year is on the increase, up from single digits in the 2000s to several dozen in a year in the 2020s, setting records last year. And as we're seeing those disasters increasing, more people also affected simply by living in more areas that could be hit by those disasters. Overall, as urban sprawl increases, more people in more places, that means those bigger cities could be bigger targets. Flooding is associated with 90% of all weather disasters, which means you'll want to stay prepared. Many are probably aware, though, that covering and insuring yourself against floods can be tricky. Flood insurance is almost always separate from other coverage, and the majority of people receive flood insurance through the National Flood Insurance Program connected to FEMA. Just last year, this flood insurance program underwent a major overhaul. FEMA now assesses flood risk based on each individual's risk rather than by was officially implemented in April 2023, and all policies are now priced on this framework. It's estimated this raises costs for 70% of NFIP policies, though much of this increase is in coastal areas threatened by rising waters. As a result, the governors of 10 states have sued FEMA to limit the changes to flood insurance programs. Sea level rise and changing flood risk across all of the nation due to the changing climate may be pushing fewer people to pursue flood insurance. Due to rising costs, FEMA estimates up to 20%. 1 in 5 people who have flood insurance will drop their coverage by the end of the century because of costs.
Now, power outages are also becoming more common in the U.S., and weather-related outages have accounted for nearly 85% of all those outages. ABC 17 Stormtrack meteorologist John Ross explains how Ameren is working to stop the outages from spreading.
Even if you are spared Mother Nature's direct impacts this spring, there's an increasing chance you'll have to deal with a power outage. Power outages are becoming more common since the start of the century, with weather accounting for the lion's share. Between the year 2000 and 2021, weather accounted for 83% of all outages in the United States. Divide that 20-year span in half, and the latter years from 2011 through 2021 saw a 64% increase in outages over the previous decade.
There has been a trend in the frequency and just general increase in those types of billion-dollar disaster events.
Whether attributed to an increase in severe weather events, aging infrastructure, or both, Eliza Hotchkiss with the National Renewable Energy Laboratory says the outages are being mitigated through grid improvements.
It's aging, and so that means that a lot of vulnerabilities can be exposed by extreme weather. And I know across all of the states in the United States, there are concerted efforts to try to enhance the resilience of grid infrastructure.
Mitch Ditter with Ameren's Central Missouri Division has already seen improvements.
Outage numbers drop due to the system hardening we're doing with our smart energy plan.
Ditter is talking about the installation of what he called a smart switch. It's an automated tool that limits a power outage's spread.
They can prevent power outages in the future with something that we call cascading failures. So what they're really doing is isolating the disturbance within the grid so that it's only in a certain area and it's contained there, rather than allowing that fault to cascade.
It's one device that experts hope will mitigate the rising number of outages across the nation.
The smart switches have been huge for us.
In addition to automation, Hotchkiss says experts are investigating renewable energy microgrids to help supplement during power outages so they can be further limited in the future.
Now our Mid-Missouri viewers have been sending in their weather questions for us to answer live during our severe weather special. ABC 17 Stormtrack meteorologist Nate Splater is here with me now to help answer those questions. Nate, what's our first question?
Yeah, so that first question we've got here for this evening is just how does hail form?
Yeah, I actually got to see this in real time just yesterday. A lot of that widespread over much of mid-Missouri, causing a lot of issues, up to 2 inches in some areas. Now, the way hail forms typically is you have those water molecules in the lower portions of the actual storm themselves. They typically will rise thanks to an updraft, and they get below a layer that's what we call the freezing layer. Now, once that starts to happen, they'll actually freeze, and as the updraft continues to push it back up, we'll start to see ice particles getting back on that, and it continues to grow until it's too much of a weight and hassle for that updraft. Finally starts to fall off to the surface of the ground. Nate, what's the next one?
Yeah, so actually pretty connected to that here. Next question is, why does the sky turn green during tornadoes?
Yeah, that's actually has to do with hail. So a lot of times that's going to be later on into the evening hours or afternoon hours where it's closer to sunset. It's going to be the hail actually in that storm that's going to be scattered by a lot of that light, and that's what's going to give the skies a little bit of a green hue. Now, if you still have any time, or we still have plenty of time to send any weather questions in. So if you have any, not a bad idea. Make sure you send them in at weather@kmiz.com. Now, another solar eclipse is expected to pass through Missouri next month. After the break, we'll explain why a solar eclipse materializes and where the path of the totality will be.
Spider Technologies, your locally owned solution to satellite TV. We now offer both Dish and DirecTV. Let us help find the best solution for you. Don't call those 800 numbers. Call Spider Technologies for all of your satellite TV and internet needs.
Spider Technologies.
Commemorate a journey, celebrate a milestone, preserve an heirloom at Duncan Diamonds and Fine Jewelry. For 2 generations, our families proudly serve the lake as a full-service jewelry store. We take pride in our attention to quality products and services. From half-carat solitaire engagement rings to custom 10-carat creations, we can make any of your diamond dreams come true. At Duncan Jewelry, honoring our customers' trust and satisfaction is top priority. Visit online or at the lake to see how we can make your memories shine.
Find out why people are saying Crustaceans is the best seafood restaurant in Columbia. A fast, casual counter service restaurant specializing in fresh, carefully prepared low country boil meals, seasoned to perfection and served with a smile. And, of course, lunch specials and a happy hour from 3 to 6. Crustacean Seafood, downtown Columbia, across from the Blue Note.
I'd like to tell you about a cool place I stopped into the other day, Ammo Alley. It's just outside Jefferson City. Great place. I met the owners, Doug Alley and his son Landon Alley. Yeah, cool play on the name of their business, right? Very knowledgeable, very helpful, super friendly. I love this place. Take it from me, you need to go see these guys at Ammo Alley. Nice, friendly folks, wonderful place to explore your Second Amendment freedoms. Ammo Alley.
The Missouri Credit Union is a non-for-profit financial institution. Unlike banks, we don't have to worry about trying to pay the shareholders.
Instead, we turn profits into savings for our members.
The biggest question that I get a lot is how are the fees so cheap? We're non-for-profit, so we're able to pass along all those savings to you.
We focus on people.
That's probably the beauty of the credit union right there, is it's people helping people.
We're doing a good thing here. From the pig.
For the people.
Spider Technologies, your locally owned solution to satellite TV. We now offer both Dish and DirecTV. Let us help find the best solution for you. Don't call those 800 numbers. Call Spider Technologies for all of your satellite TV and internet needs.
Spider Technologies.
Welcome back. Missouri will see another total eclipse in just a few weeks. The path of the complete totality will range from Texas into Missouri and into Vermont. ABC 17 Stormtrack meteorologist John Ross will tell you what you can expect here in mid-Missouri.
Severe weather isn't the only thing that we're going to be tracking this spring, but on April 8th, we'll also be tracking the next solar eclipse. This path going to take it from San Antonio, Texas, all the way through Missouri to Burlington, Vermont. So what is a solar eclipse? Well, a quick reminder, it's when the moon moves between the sun and the earth and casts a localized shadow onto the earth's surface. Now, that shadow looks a little different depending on what type of eclipse it is. Last year, the United States saw an annular eclipse. This is where the moon doesn't cover 100% of the sun. In fact, you see a little bit of a ring of fire around that during an annular eclipse. Now, this depends on how close the moon is to the earth during an eclipse, and this year it's a little closer. So we are going to be seeing a total eclipse, meaning everyone in the path of totality will see total darkness. That path of totality stretching again from near San San Antonio, Texas, all the way up to the Missouri-Arkansas border at 2 o'clock on April 8th. Again, this will move through the largest Missouri city in its path, Cape Girardeau, around 2:06, 2:07, before it spends the next 30 minutes racing off the east coast. So folks in Missouri will have a chance to see it, except if you're in mid-Missouri. If you stay in mid-Missouri, you don't see the entire totality. You'll be at about 90% coverage. In fact, all of mid-Missouri in this 90% coverage, you'd have to travel south of St. Louis, again, either Cape Girardeau or near southern Illinois to see that eclipse. Now, will we see it? Depends on cloud cover, and it's too soon to actually give a forecast on this, but if you just go by historical averages, Columbia has near a 50% chance, and so does Cape Girardeau. Interestingly enough, St. Louis, the historical odds are not as good, but either way, you're going to want to pay close attention to the forecast leading up to early April to decide whether or not it's worth it for you to make the trip.
Definitely going to be an exciting event. Now, we're going to answer more of your weather questions here on the ABC 17 Stormtrack Severe Weather Special. ABC 17 Stormtrack meteorologist Nate Slater has been monitoring our email for your questions. Nate, what do we have?
Yeah, so that latest question here is really pertinent as more of these storms are popping up. It's where should you go if you're not at home and a tornado warning is issued?
Yeah, Nate, that's a great question. And honestly, a lot of people usually traveling for vacation or even work. One of the best things to do is if you're not going to be at home, make sure you find a good structure. So the best structure is going to be something where you get underground. So lowest level interior building away from windows. Make sure you're going to be protecting your head. Nate, what do you got?
Yeah, so again, if you are able to find any coverage there, that's always good, but especially as you're out driving, maybe in your car here, if you are in your car, try to find a very low-lying ditch that you can get to. Again, if that's an option available. If not, actually, I know many are kind of uncomfortable with this thought. You will want to stay in the car if there's no other option as well. That's safer than just being out in the field where debris can get to you. So again, there are still some options even if you are not at home as well. And I think we also do have one last question here, kind of related, is how many tornadoes does Missouri see each year?
Yeah, Nate, that's going to be 30 tornadoes and 50% of those in April and May. So coming up, going to be very active. Now, mid-Missouri, thank you for sending us your questions. Now you're going to want to stick with us. ABC 17 Stormtrack Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner will explain what you can expect for the months ahead in the long-range spring forecast.
Electricity. What else touches every part of our day? At Boone Electric Cooperative, we're always working to keep the electricity on. When severe weather strikes, our team works around the clock to fix outages and restore power as quickly and safely as possible. You can download our Smart Hub app or access Smart Hub online to report an outage. Boone Electric Cooperative. Your co-op, our community.
How you sleep sets your entire life in motion. So live your best life by getting your best sleep on a Doctor's Choice mattress. The perfect combination of support and comfort.
In fact, I've been recommending it to my patients for over 20 years.
Visit us in-store or online and discover all the benefits of Doctor's Choice, only at Denver Mattress.
When a rookie stunt driver meets the trainer who thought he'd seen it all. Again. There's bound to be action. But this is no ordinary blockbuster. It's a Nissan sales event ad, so you better act fast. Don't miss your chance to drive away in a new Nissan. Let's roll. Hurry into the Nissan Thrill of the Drive sales event.
Now get 1.9% APR financing for 60 months or get $2,000 in MAC cash on the 2023 Nissan Rogue.
Going through a divorce or a family dispute, you don't have to go through it alone. Meet Jordan, Ben, and Rebecca of Harper, Evans, Hillbrenner, and Neddemeyer. They're not just attorneys. They're your allies in family law, from divorces to modifications and paternity cases.
And here's our promise. We'll always respond to you within 24 hours.
Compassionate and understanding, yet tough in the courtroom. Harper, Evans, Hillbrenner, and Neddemeyer, achieving great results every time.
I've been with U.S. Cellular for years now, and I think I'm their biggest fan. So they asked me to tell you about their special customer event, Us Days. Us Days means exclusive deals just for us customers, like up to $1,200 to upgrade to any new phone. So I said, if I'm going to be on TV, do you think I can get hair and makeup? And I even got a manicure, too.
Introducing Us Days at U.S. Cellular. Exclusive offers just for our customers. Get up to $1,200 to upgrade to any new phone.
Welcome back. We ended winter with a February that was almost 10 degrees warmer than normal. Now, making most of us long for spring green and mild temperatures. Now, with that warm-up can mean more active weather. ABC 17 Stormtrack Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner is tracking what's ahead through May in the long-range spring forecast.
After a rare 3 years in a La Nina pattern, we saw a complete flip in the jet stream pattern this past winter, leading to warmer and drier weather. The ABC 17 Stormtrack weather team forecast 8 to 10 inches of snow, and we ended up with about 8.5. We were thinking the winter wouldn't be quite as warm with the forecast of 2 to 4 degrees above average. This winter season ended up 6 degrees above average in Columbia, with an average temperature of 38 degrees. 2023 was the second warmest year on record in Columbia and the fourth least snowiest. Heading into the spring months, we can expect temperatures to average out to about 56 degrees for the 3-month period. Last season, we were slightly warmer than that. Last spring really ramped up the severe drought conditions in mid-Missouri as we ended May more than 5 inches below normal on rainfall. We continue to see more spring days coming in above average, with an increase of 12 days above normal temperatures since 1970. The strong El Nino pattern we had in place for the winter is expected to wane, with neutral conditions taking over as we get into April and through the summer before La Nina takes hold again this fall. That means ocean temperatures will be closer to average, and the jet stream over the Midwest will likely be more variable. This also makes forecasting for the months ahead a bit more tricky, with equal chances of stormy weather and dry, hot stretches. One thing we do know is that the river flooding threat is going to be low. The Missouri Basin is lacking snow cover, the least amount of snowpack in several years. That will limit any downstream flooding from melting. This map shows the potential for reaching specific flood levels on larger rivers across mid-Missouri. The orange boxes indicate a 50% chance of exceeding minor flood stage, for example. Local tributaries and smaller rivers have a better chance of minor flooding with spring and summer storms that bring heavy rain. The drought forecast shows some improvement in mid-Missouri with slightly higher precipitation than average through May. The upper Missouri Basin is looking drier, meaning there could end up being some barge traffic impacts upstream. The Climate Prediction Center shows equal chances of above or below average temperatures for Missouri, but we have not been below average for a spring since 2020, our last spring in a neutral pattern where the temperature was about 1 degree cooler than normal. The precipitation outlook is promising, with the green shading showing above average precipitation through May. Above average rain could help out with the drought situation as almost all of Missouri ranges from abnormally to severely dry. So what can we expect for the next few months? The ABC 17 Stormtrack weather team is expecting this spring to be 1 to 2 degrees warmer than normal, with rounds of storms, severe weather with isolated flooding, and stretches of dry, hotter than average days. 11 to 13 inches of rain is expected, which would be near or slightly above average for Columbia. If that happens, we could hopefully see gradual drought improvement by the summer.
Thanks for joining us for this year's Severe Weather Special.
You've been watching the live ABC 17 Stormtrack Severe Weather Special, presented by Boone Electric Cooperative.
Hardee's Philly cheesesteak favorites are back. Handcrafted creations with sauteed peppers, onions, and melty cheese to reinvent the signature Philly classics from sunrise to supper time. Hardee's, goodness in the making.
Make your workday feel less like a chore with a Bad Boy tractor or mower from Precision Water and Power Sports. Power and performance to fit any farm or property. Comfort and quality to ease any workload. Fair prices and competitive financing to suit your budget. From loaders to cutters, Bad Boy tractors and mowers are